This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
Before the Great War, the United States government experimented with a wide variety of drugs, chems, and other addictive substances. The aim of many of these substances was to make soldiers much stronger as they went into battle. Even after the bombs dropped, new chems were discovered and developed, the most famous of which is jet. Today we will be going over several really good chems and drugs that you can find throughout Fallout 4. I'm sure some of these drugs will be familiar to you as they are quite common. Others are somewhat rare, however they provide impressive abilities when used. So without further ado, these will be the top 8 best chems, drugs, and their effects in Fallout 4. Number 8. MedX. So MedX is a drug that simply improves your damage resistance and poison resistance. Specifically, MedX is providing you with plus 25 to your damage resistance and plus 250 to your poison resistance. Now, I'd argue that MedX is going to be one of the most important drugs or chems that you're going to want in Fallout 4, especially when you're going up against some of the tougher enemies in the game, as that damage reduction will help reduce the amount of damage you're going to be taking. Now, from my experience, MedX is relatively uncommon to find. Now, it's not rare like some of the other chems in Fallout 4, but it's not a chem that you're going to want to use with reckless abandon, if that makes sense. Number 7. Buffout. So Buffout is a good chem for increasing your strength and your overall maximum health for a short period of time. Now, the boost to strength also improves your effectiveness with melee weapons and boosts your carry weight. And standard Buffout provides you with about plus 2 to strength and endurance and an additional 50 points to your maximum health. Now, this can be used to create both Buff Jet and Buff Tats, which are essentially stronger versions of Buffout that borrow effects from both Jet and Mentats, respectively. Now, Buff Jet isn't quite as good as regular Buffout in my opinion. However, Buff Tats not only provides superior bonuses to strength, endurance, and max health, but also boosts perception. And it's also worth mentioning that the effects of Buff Tats also last 8 minutes as opposed to the standard 5 minutes of normal Buffout. Overall, Buffout is fairly common, and it can be purchased and looted from just about anywhere. I definitely recommend Buffout regardless of whether you're a melee character, stealth character, or anything really. Number 6. Psycho. So Psycho and MedX pretty much go together. Where MedX boosts your damage resistance, Psycho boosts both damage output and damage resistance. You get a percentage-based boost to your total damage output, equivalent to 25%, and you get plus 25 to your damage resistance, which is the same buff that you get to MedX. Now, Psycho can also be used to create Psycho Buff, Psycho Tats, and Psycho Jet. And of the three, I would say that Psycho Buff is probably the best, as you get the 25% damage increase in addition to plus 3 to endurance and strength, and an additional 65 health points to your maximum HP. You also get this effect for 8 minutes, similar to Buff Tats as we discussed earlier. Now, from my experience, I would say that Psycho is fairly uncommon. However, it's not extremely rare or anything. You can occasionally find some out in the wild, or you could purchase it from vendors, provided that they've got it. Now, like Jet, Psycho can also be crafted. Unfortunately, it does require somewhat rare or uncommon components, like things like circuitry or acid and stim packs, which for stim packs you might want to use those to actually heal your character as opposed to use those to create Psycho. Now, if you're in survival mode, you might want to use those stim packs for Psycho, as you're going to be using refreshing beverages to heal as opposed to using stim packs. Number 5. Jet. So Jet is a chem that slows down time, and this has the benefit of boosting your fire rate and reducing recoil with most guns. As you can imagine, this effect can be quite overpowered in my opinion. Now, there are a couple of variants of Jet which include like Jet Fuel, Ultra Jet, and Psycho Jet. Jet fuel functions like jet that we saw in Fallout 3 and restores your action points and boosts your action point regeneration. Ultra jet is sort of a mix between jet and jet fuel as it combines their effects with superior boosts, though you do lose the action point regeneration bonuses of jet fuel. And then Psycho Jet is an improved version of both Psycho and Jet. Unfortunately, it's not quite as good as regular Psycho, which lasts longer. And of all three of them, I would say Ultra Jet is probably the best, as it provides the longest slow time duration than regular Jet. Now, Jet is extremely common and can be purchased or looted from just about anywhere or anything. And it's also easy to craft, as you simply just need 2 fertilizer and 1 plastic. Number 4, Excel. So Excel, or Excel, is a new drug that has been added in Fallout 4, and what Excel does is it boosts all of your special stats by 2 points. Now, this is actually pretty cool, however, it has some serious drawbacks. Excel only lasts 2 minutes according to the Fallout Wiki, and it's one of the most addictive chems in Fallout 4. Unlike most drugs, just one use can get you addicted. Furthermore, the addiction penalties result in having all of your special stats decreased by 1 point, which is much higher a penalty than many of the other chems in Fallout 4. Now, from my experience, Excel is pretty rare. However, it does have a lot of specific locations that you can loot it from. In my personal opinion, the effects are good, but aren't really worth the addiction risks. Plus, Excel is rare enough, so it sort of de-incentivizes you from even using it. Number 3, Fury. So Fury is a drug primarily designed for melee combat, as it contains a percentage boost to your melee damage. Specifically, you're getting a 50% increase to your melee damage, and a plus 25 to your damage resistance, and unfortunately a significant debuff of -5 to your perception special stat. I'd argue the debuff to perception isn't a huge deal. Usually if you're playing a melee build, you're not going to be using VATS over 50% of the time. Now, the problem with Fury is that it's sort of rare, and while you can craft it, it requires Buffout and a Berserk syringe. Berserk syringes require an obscure component, which is the antifreeze bottle. Otherwise, though, steel, bourbon, and dirty water are relatively easy to find. And really, between Fury and Psycho, I'd actually probably go with Psycho since it's a little more versatile, but if you play a pure melee build and have the resources on hand, Fury is definitely the way to go. Number 2, Overdrive. So Overdrive is essentially an improved version of Psycho, and like Psycho, you get the 25% damage buff. However, you also get 25% critical chance, which allows you to perform critical hits inside as well as outside of VATS. And it's sort of similar to how critical hits are performed in either Fallout 3 or New Vegas, where the effect is seemingly random. It's also worth mentioning that if you charge your critical meter like normal and activate it, you won't deal additional damage, despite the game telling you that you're performing critical strikes on an enemy. Now, Overdrive lasts 8 minutes and is relatively easy to craft, as it requires 2 acid, 1 Nuka-Cola, and 1 Psycho. You'll also require a Chemist perk rank of 1 as well, which, in my opinion, those are fairly low requirements. Really, the most reliable way to get this stuff is to craft it. You can occasionally find it out in the wild, but it's sort of rare to find that way. Number 1, Calmex. So Calmex is a good chem for stealth players, as it boosts your agility, perception, and also boosts your sneak attack multiplier. The boost to agility will boost your total action points, and the boost to perception will improve your accuracy in VATS. The additional bonus to your sneak attack multiplier will make sneak attacks considerably more powerful as well. Unfortunately, this is a fairly rare chem, which I guess is to be expected considering that Calmex provides a lot of good effects, especially to the sneak attack multiplier. You're going to have to be lucky to find some, as there's no way to craft it. Now, you can buy it from vendors occasionally, but that's only if they have it in stock, and otherwise it's just a random drop, so there are no specific locations where you can find CalmX, where you can find specific locations for something that is rare like XL. Anyway guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like and let me know what is your favorite chem in Fallout 4 or drug in Fallout 4. Go ahead and leave that in the comments, but as always, take care and I'll see y'all next time.